Jake Majors. We've been living down here for about 9 months, 10 months, going to be a year in a couple months. We originally were online looking for tiny homes. My mom was really into the tiny home movement, so she wanted to build one. We were going to be driving around, just living wherever it took us, and we found this place through the website. So my mom decided that this seemed like a bit of a better idea, be stationary, not having so much to worry about like parking or anything like that. My mom really wanted to do it, I not so much. So we ended up kind of getting in over it. I didn't want to come. I kind of took roads to make sure we didn't come, but we eventually did. And coming down here for the first month or so, I didn't necessarily like it at all, but that's mostly because I stayed in the house.
And what was your mindset of why you didn't want to come down?
I originally perceived, probably as many people would perceive it, as to being a kind of a third world country, not really that many modern amenities, not that much stuff to do. And in reality, there isn't that much stuff to do in the modern sense of what you do in the States, but there's so much more to do in terms of getting to know people, getting to know nature, getting to know things to do. And there's still some of the modernness. There's not living in tents. We're living in nice houses with solar power. You can still bring your computers and bring all that stuff. And so over time, I really got into living down here, and I grew a bit more as a person because I wasn't so closed off by having so many people, I wouldn't say judge you like in the States would, but like in the States and things, people kind of living in their own little box with their own few people. Down here, everybody's kind of living together, and it's a much nicer way of living when you can just like be friendly with everybody on the street, and it's like actual genuine friendliness. It's not just saying hi for the sake of saying hi. I've learned to be a lot more outgoing, actually. Living in the States and living where we lived, it was a lot of... You wouldn't really be in a crowd of people unless you were in that crowd of people already. Like, you wouldn't be part of the kids playing sports unless you played sports. You wouldn't be a part of the smart kids unless you were a smart kid. But down here, like, the kids who play sports or the smart people, they'll just bring you in no matter if you're a new person, if you've been here forever. So you grow a lot in terms of people will accept you more easily, and that helps. It helped me to like be more friendly, be more outgoing, be more into certain things that I would never have necessarily thought of. When my mom looked up the website and she got in contact with Darren and they talked back and forth, hearing about the neighbors being certain people who were much older than me in the later part of their life. So coming down, it was originally a thought of I wouldn't necessarily have many people to hang out with. I wouldn't really do certain things like that. But when we came down here, I learned that some of these people that were much older than me, I actually clicked with on a but on a better level than some of the younger people that I knew back where we used to live. Like, they were really outgoing. They included me in a lot of stuff. They didn't treat me like I was just some kid moving down here. And then once Darren and his family moved down, bringing his family with him, there was a couple more younger people, and then so it was a bit easier to get around, hang out with. But I'd say that if you're concerned about the age ranges being like different, it's not that big of a deal once you get down here, because everybody seems to be into a little bit of everything. So you'll have a chance to click with everybody on something. Pretty much my favorite thing to do down here is, most recently it's become this thing that's in Belize City, I think, close to Belize City, is cave tubing. It's pretty fun. You just spend a day drifting about 2 hours through these cave tunnels and tubes down this clear river, and it's pretty fun. But my favorite things have to be pretty much like all the getting out to nature, like the rivers, the pools, the jungle hiking, stuff like that. And then, of course, there's the ice cream shop that's in Spanish Lookout, but who doesn't love ice cream?
Yeah, for real.
We've tried a different way of growing that my mom found online. It's growing stuff in hay bales, and it's been going actually pretty darn good, and stuff's been shooting up pretty fast.
What's that called? I've never even heard of that before.
It's called hay bale gardening. My mom made me watch the seminars on how to do it. You get a hay bale, you smear it with some like manure or something, you let them sit in the sun for a couple of weeks, and it burns out all the seeds, burns out all the weeds, impurities, and stuff, and then you're left with an empty hay bale with no seeds, nothing else in it. Then you plant anything, lettuce, you can plant vegetables, you can plant fruits, you can plant flowers, and other than it being a little bit elevated, so you don't have to be bending over into like a plant bed, no weeds will grow, no bugs will fly into it or land on it or come up through it, and after a period of 6 to 8 months, it will degrade into fresh soil, and then you just put in another one, and then after time, you'll have a little mound of, after a few years, a mound of soil that you could just plant in that won't grow weeds or anything like that. So it's an easy way for people to plant, especially if they don't want to plant a lot. If people just want to get into it, they can just buy one hay bale and plant a little tiny garden in their porch. I'd say if somebody is worried that coming down here, they wouldn't necessarily have all the amenities that they have back where they're from, or they wouldn't necessarily be able to live the same life that they're living. I'd say there definitely would be some changes, but down here, depending on where you look and how hard you look, you can definitely find things that can replace completely things that you don't have, or even find new things that you can use to replace things that you didn't have, like things like people thinking that when they hear that a community like this runs off of solar power, they think, oh, well, I won't be able to bring maybe all my electronics, or I won't be able to do certain things that I can do, but people maybe won't realize that solar power can pretty much do those things. I was of the mind I wouldn't be able to bring my computer or my games or anything like that down here, and then on coming down and then getting solar in our house, I was able to run everything that I had just fine. So there's always something down here that no matter what your worry is, there is something down here that will be able to replace it, or that will be able to quell your worries. So it's definitely something that it's good to have reservations, but there's always something that you can just have down here to replace. Everybody will have their own experiences. Maybe that's something. There's not really a cookie cutter experience that one person will have based off of another person's retelling of events or things. So you'll definitely have your own experience, but I would be safe to say that your experience would be a good one coming down here. I haven't really met a single person yet who's come down here and had a bad experience.